Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's our Saturday's program on IBM TV, Pod TV, with the name Chess Stars, and we are going to talk about a lot of very important things what happening lately in the chess world. My name is Sasha Starr, and I would like to introduce my guests for today. It's Grandmaster Mikhail Marin and his beautiful wife, multi-talented Maria. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Sasha. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
We also invited Alex Yermolinsky, but he has difficulties with link, which we also had somewhat lately. But hopefully, it will work out in the future. And right now, I would like to ask you a very simple question. So the candidates tournament is over. What's now?
Can I say it from my perspective?
Only from yours. Maria will give your perspective on her own.
Actually, it's our perspective
Yes.
is a bit connected.
Excellent.
If you see this book, you see it has a cover.
The Lubyansky Gambit. Oh,
Lubyanka Gambit.
Lubyanka.
It's
Okay.
it's that Lubyanka. All the.
I know Lubyanka. I know what it
So it's the place you would get in and never get out, or
Mhm.
maybe in 10 years or something.
No, you can get out of Lubyanka straight to Siberia, though.
Yeah. So the cover illustrates a painting made by Maria, especially for this book.
Wow. Okay, fantastic.
And actually, this is for me the present. I'm actively working with this book. Now that I show the cover, I show another recent book. This is my book actually, and this is also Maria's painting.
Fantastic. Maria, bravo.
Imagine.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
So this was released 1 month ago or something like that, 2 months ago. So now, if I talk about, actually, the near future is nice. It became nice suddenly, just 2 days earlier, when I was invited to be a commentator to the Chess Olympiad in India, together with Judith Polgar.
Hmm.
And I travel with Maria there in the end of July.
Mhm.
So
Bravo, Mikhail.
but now I want to talk about this. We got the book because Maria made the cover, and actually Ilan Rubin, the publisher, he sent. I have co-authored one of his books. We have some collaboration, so he sends me his book. And this, of course, when you buy a book like Lubyanka, the first thing is to look to read the stories. I mean, to see, for instance, the strongest chess player who disappeared like this was Vladimir Petrov, who was a top player, maybe top 10 in that moment.
He was against Stalohin, against other top players.
Yeah, he won some tournament ahead of all the great guys. Yes, he was a strong player. But there are also, composers, study and problem composers.
Mm-hmm.
And for instance, I got in love with Zahar Zalkind. Actually, he's some sort of, I wouldn't call him happy case, but at least there can be happiness in any situation. I think somehow he was very appreciated as a composer, and he was the president of the Composers Union in the Soviet Union. And then for some reasons they arrested him and sentenced him to 8 years of prison. After that, he spent another 5 years on forced labor. And then for 5 more years, he was sentenced to just not to come back home, just to stay, somewhere. This period he couldn't survive, the third one. But, all this time, he was composing. This, he was studying chess and composing. Somehow, you understand, of course, life was, he was 30 or something when they arrested him. Somehow he found this, you cannot call it way to happiness, but he managed to practice his hobby, his love. Unfortunately, these notebooks were not found. Everything what he composed in prison. But I would, if you allow me, I would like to show one of his studies.
Absolutely, please do.
So I also love his mates in three. No, what I'm doing? Share. Okay, share screen, share screen. Okay, I should activate this window. Okay, and Ferastra. Okay, this one. Okay, so do you see now the chessboard? Hello.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah,
Do
I
you see the
now.
chessboard? Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So white to move and win. Well, of course, you the start is easy. For instance, if you start with c4, you want to mate somehow the king. Then you see that after this move d7, which threatens bishop c7, okay, it's not in time because now queen b5 and the king escapes. So you have to start with d7. Okay, that's the simple part. Let's say. Let's promote this. Okay, he has to take, and now you go c4. And now the king has to go here because okay, if takes, then okay, it's not made, but you win the queen.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now the question comes: okay, what to do? You see that there are several squares where you could threaten mate. So actually, I first tried this move. Somebody I showed this also tried this, but it's not really working. Queen here,
Yep.
and it defends everything. Yeah, actually, it's funny. I analyzed a bit. I calculated a bit this. I didn't notice that actually here there is a queen h3, and I said, okay, he plays this because he's in Zugzwang.
Mm.
And then I said, okay, I make a move and he's in Zugzwang, but he's not because he can take here and then it's
Oh
a
my God.
stalemate. Yeah, but okay, this is not necessary. Anyway, knight c7 is not the move. The move is knight d6. Okay, what does a knight d6 mean? First of all, you have to check what happens if he takes on d6. No, I mean now you have two threats. You have this threat and this threat, and the only way to parry it would be queen here. But okay, of course, you have to prove a certain endgame knowledge by examining this position. And okay, now if the kings just keep distance, then of course white wins because he also has reserve tempo with his extra pawn. And if so, then black is simply too slow. Black is too slow, and okay, here let's say this. The king has to go somewhere. C6, okay. Black promotes first, but this doesn't help him because he will be 2 pawns down in the queen ending, and it
Yep.
is easily winning. So he has to go here. Now, okay, you may have a very very interesting thought. What about if we put him in Zugzwang? Because now the queen does not have moves to keep both these under control.
Yes.
But if you play like this, then you get this shock, check,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a stalemate.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not h3. How do you parry queen d3? You have to go king here, because now if queen d3, then you take with the queen with the king,
Yes.
and he has a move. So okay, after this he has only one move, and now okay, it's obvious you don't have waiting moves. There is no, because okay, if the bishop moves, then check, so nothing happens. So you have to move. If you return with the king to here, then again check. Okay, so you have to move with the knight. Actually, I found the correct move at once, but it's interesting to show this move first, which is a
Mm-hmm.
trap. Now the threat is bishop here. Yeah, but the problem is that then queen g7 or queen h8 draws because it's a stalemate.
Incredible.
Actually, I was fortunate. I calculated this. I saw queen g7, and now the idea is to go knight f6.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah, now he can still now he's in Zugzwang because again he has to defend these two squares, no,
Mm-hmm.
and he can
Yeah,
try. Sorry.
No, Alex is very
I
interesting.
mean, watching your
No,
stuff, you know.
okay,
Don't
okay. So he can
please
still
pay no
try
attention to me. I'm watching this
okay.
stuff. It's
So
cool.
he can still try this, but okay, then you have check and then you take the queen. So, hi Alex. You understand why I'm so fascinated by this guy? Okay, his mates in three are also fantastic. Maybe later I will show a mate in three, my favorite so far, but not his. That one of Arvid Kubel, was known as as Kubel's brother
Mhm.
because Leonid Kubel was the difference between them. There are a few differences. Arvid was a strong player, much stronger than actually he beat guys like Romanov, like Rabinovich. He had some victims.
Mhm.
So he was also a player, but less active as a composer than his brother.
Right.
And his brother was wiser. At some point, his brother understood that you should not publish your studies in German magazines.
Mhm.
Arvid didn't understand that, and he paid with his life for that. I mean, they just took him and uh, so that Alex also sees this book, the Lubyanka Gambit.
It's
No,
new.
I don't.
It's
No,
new.
It was after my time. I didn't do anything like this.
no, but it contains stories, games, and studies, compositions of all these guys who disappeared during the
No,
during
well,
Stalin's work.
yeah, I understand. It's just not the kind of subject I'm interested in general.
No,
Like,
but
I
the
mean,
chess part,
KGB plays chess by Boris Kulko and other stuff. You know, I'm not
but
fascinated.
the chess part is fantastic in this book. I mean, okay, the story is okay.
Oh,
You may be interested in
I've
or
seen
not.
a lot of studies. Yeah, well, they were good composers. Guys
Uh,
had imagination and hard work.
This was Zahar Zalkind, who just disappeared. Not clear what he did wrong, but yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, he was a fantastic composer, actually.
Mikhail, you are talking about at that time. Obviously, there were not vegetarian times in Soviet Union, and as much as many chess players and chess composers disappeared, but so were many other professions and nationalities, and just name
Of
it.
course.
We are talking about millions and millions of people. However, let's come to back to what we would like to discuss now. Is candidates tournament is over. Alex, what's
Yeah.
your impressions? Tell us the real truth, the way you think.
Well, it's a lot of people don't agree with me, but I think Nepomniachtchi has improved a lot. Maybe not as a chess player, only as a person. I see a massive growth in this person, this in Jan Nepomniachtchi. I recall how obviously the previous candidates it was chopped into two parts, but he seemed in the second half pretty much unsure of himself, almost like basically dragging himself, stumbling over the finish line. This time he acted like a guy who felt that mm, he no deserve I don't know the right word, but I mean like the guy who could win a tournament like this without getting any gifts or any help from anybody.
He acted
It's a
as a
big
master.
change. It's a big change. I compare it with change that Spassky undertook between his first attempt in 1966 and the second one in 1969. It's a
Mhm.
big difference. It's a mature person, a different person simply.
Actually, do you know that Kasparov said something about that his chances against Carlson this time would be fabulous?
Well, obviously, all political views aside, like if,
Mhm.
well, Kasparov obviously knows about chess more than anyone else, and I'm glad that he noticed that. But I don't know, I didn't say anything about chess parts. I know very little about those chess openings, and the game of chess is farther and farther away from me.
Yeah.
Well, I'm like this Kubel guy, I was made to disappear. They can write a book about me 50 years later, how the FBI, like got rid of Alex Shermaninsky.
Mhm.
Well, so that's fine. I'm no longer there. I don't even exist, guys. I don't exist.
Mhm.
But, but
Alex, yeah.
seriously, about Yan Nepomniachtchi, I read what Kasparov said, and I think a lot of people agree with that, but it's not a popular opinion to express. For example, Kramnik, well, who slammed very badly other players for their bad play, he kind of like almost never said anything about Nepomniachtchi in his like because I don't know why really. Maybe he doesn't like Jan, or maybe well I don't know, or maybe Kramnik couldn't find any examples of bad play, which he found plenty in games of other players.
Mhm. I see.
I don't know.
Mikhail, what are your thoughts on?
No, we talked about this last time, and actually, Alex put it in other words, but basically same said very much the same as me. Well, I said that Nepomniachtchi looked like a man who knew the path to the qualification because he did it once, and now he knew exactly what it takes. And I'm not convinced he played that well. But he was there. I mean, he had the presence of spirit. He was alert, alert when that was needed. And when players started throwing with points at him, he just took them. I mean, but I'm not sure he played really so well. I mean, the difference between him and the others, of course, it's big, the result. But I'm not sure if this will imply that he will have better chances with Carlsen. But okay, the human, the psychological side, of course, now he looked, I mean, he was just relaxed. He was just playing. I mean, some things. He gives a pawn with Ding. He knows that Ding will not take the pawn. How did he know that Ding would not take the pawn? I don't know. How did he know that Ding would stop playing from that moment, actually? Because Ding was just waiting, inviting him. Okay, come attack me. I don't do anything. I don't know, but of course this can help against Carlsen too, because after all, Carlsen is killing everybody psychologically. It's not that much his chess, but it's his determination. I mean, you feel that the guy wants to kill you, and it's not easy. So maybe Jan indeed made progress from this point of view. I mean, I basically I use other words, but I very much agree with Alex.
Mhm. Yeah, it could
Not,
be also. Carlsen has one big weapon. Actually, is a threat of rapid play and blitz if needed in the case of draw in the match. And with Jan, it may not actually work because Jan is extremely good both in rapid and blitz himself. And he proved it a few times against Carlsen himself. So maybe this is not such a big threat of Carlsen as it used to be before. Maybe. On the other
Sasha,
hand,
Sasha,
yeah,
I want to ask you because I've been out of the loop. A few
yes.
days ago, somebody told me that Carlsen made a proposal to change the system of the World Championship match toward the tennis kind of system he uses in his online events. Is this proposal, was it accepted? Is it still there? Or are they going to play traditional?
Yeah, I've heard about that. I don't think the decision has been made. Mikhail, maybe you know more about this?
no, but I didn't even know what it's about. Which is supposed to be the new format. I mean,
Alex, what's your understanding? My understanding is that it will be sets of 4 games, and whoever
That's
wins
of four
that
games, yes.
is
Just
like in
like
tennis.
Magnus plays his online tournaments, like Meltwater. So you need to win 2 sets. Doesn't matter by what margin you win them. You can win them on tiebreak. For example, you can win set one after 2-2 on tiebreak.
uh-huh,
Then you lose the second set 3-0, and the game four is not even played. Now it's tied at two
uh-huh.
sets apiece. Then you go to the third and decisive set, and it may go into this Armageddon or whatnot. And then you win that and you win the match.
Alex,
So
do you realize that in this case the match could be over in 6 games? The first match two and a half and a half, the second match two and a half and a half. So 6 games and the match is done.
So certainly, yes, it's entirely possible.
Hmm.
Fisher
No,
Taimanov and
yeah,
Fisher
well, I'm not
Marshall.
defending this. I'm not against it. So that's what I was told. And then I read some no people expressed opinions. I never wrote anything about it. It hardly concerns me. But I just thought that was the thing that Carlson wanted.
That's
Yeah,
I
obviously
interesting.
he's interested in in increasing the importance of rapid and blitz.
Well, I don't
Because
know what he's interested in. Well, the rapid and blitz obviously would probably has more weight because the rapid and blitz can come after every fourth game.
for game, yes,
Right.
yes, yes. So
Yeah, that is true.
mhm.
That is true. Well, then again, we talk about matches. No, people who went to Vancouver to see a big battle between the Soviet Mark Taimanov and American Bobby Fischer, they didn't get to see Game 7. Too bad. Maybe they bought tickets. But
Yeah, but you understand that here
even with
the
people in Denver for the Larson match, maybe somebody was planning to go there for the final four games to see the excitement, like whatever. Bought plane tickets and hotel reservations, and then what? The match was over. It happened before.
And at that time, there was no casino in Denver, so there was no use to stay for 4 more days.
Oh, I don't know what people would do in Denver. Things to do in Denver when you're dead was the song by Warren Zevon and the movie. Things to
Mhm.
do in Denver when you're dead. Actually, we should watch this.
Oh,
One
really?
day, you should watch this movie again. I remember I enjoyed
Very interesting.
uh,
So now
Denver. Yeah.
the situation is, first of all, it became complicated when a few months ago Carlson said that unless Ferrugia would win the tournament, he's not interested to defend his title. And so that was thought number one. The second one, it was that probably he is not going to play, and in this case, Nepomniachtchi will play against number two Ding Lejeune. Now,
Yeah, Dean Lejeune, yeah.
Ding Lejeune, okay, so that's variation number two. So match against, but I had correspondence on my Facebook page with Ken Regan at the time, and there are a few other people contributed that, in my opinion, FIDE is now at the crossroads. It's very difficult to organize match which is worth probably a couple of million dollars or euros, give or take. Okay, but they cannot find organizers or prize fund or venue or anything before Carlson will commit to play. Because if you are an organizer or you're a sponsor of the match, how would you pay millions of dollars if you're not sure that Carlson will be playing? So obviously you are not going to give him a venue. Now, on the other
Yeah.
hand, yeah,
Well, there is also a political angle with this, because we know, of course, that Nepomniachtchi is not Karyakin, so he never stated his position firmly on the other side of the aisle. But yet, well, still, represents Russia as a Russian passport. And, well, Carlson made a wise decision not to invite players with Russian citizenship, regardless of the country of residence, into his online tournaments this year.
yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so then they did it possibly, no, not to necessarily placate the sponsors, but certain things you just don't want to, like, just don't want this to happen, man. You want to run your business smoothly. And
So,
here is
so
the thing, if he goes to same sponsors, I mean, it will put them in a difficult position because there are sanctions, there is this and that, and yet, you bring this Russian guy and whatever, and it becomes part of the show, and maybe it's not good publicity for the company.
you see, today, as you know, the Wimbledon women's title got Yelena Repakina, who lives in Moscow, who is Russian. But what she did, she changed federation to Kazakhstan a couple of years ago or so.
No, yeah, I
She
understand, but
represents Kazakhstan, but she still lives in
oh,
Moscow.
yeah. No, yeah, of course, no, it's understandable. There are ways to maybe avoid this, but generally speaking, it's not a good situation. If Fabiano won the tournament, everything would be perfect. We would have a
Absolutely.
world championship match in St. Louis with probably $3 or $4 million prize fund.
Correct. Correct.
Well, but Fabiano, we all know what happened to him. No, we don't know how, but we know what happened. So he
But
fell off the
Alex,
cliff.
Fagano played not so bad in first half, and then he collapsed in second half. He's
No,
not stable
no,
enough.
it's sports. It's sports, so whatever, explanation. So there may be perfectly good reasons why he collapsed, but it doesn't matter. The results stand.
Yeah. Mikhail, so we see now many unknown factors on the way to the World Championship. The political factor, I don't know how important it is, but in a way it is important because in the previous World Championship, there were a lot of Russian companies who sponsored the match. Actually, probably close to 100% of the sponsorship money came from Russian for Sagra and a few other companies. So that's an issue. Number two, of course, Carlson unwillingness, or at least that's what he said publicly, that he is not going to defend his title. He actually said that probably more than half year ago, in his magazine, New in Chess. You know that it's Carlson's magazine.
Yeah,
And,
no, okay, it's not Carlson's. It's the company who owns it, and Carlson has
and
9%.
Carlson is a major shareholder of
No,
that.
no, he has 9%. He has 9% of the company.
If it's 9%, he's the single biggest shareholders because it's a public company and there are several other smaller shareholders, but he's single the biggest shareholder. Okay, that's according to documents. It could change any time.
Okay.
But
So with 9%, he's the biggest.
He's the biggest, yeah.
Yeah, but he doesn't have an absolute majority.
Well, no, he doesn't have majority, and he doesn't need majority because he's the chairman of the board. Obviously, he's making all the decision, and he controls everything. Now, one more thing. Carlson controls and organizes all these online tournaments, repeat blitz and everything else. And it's a year-long kind of a series of tournaments. In a way, if you will, Carlson is competing himself against FIDE, against Grand Chess Tour, and against everything else because he has...
And against chess.com. Chess.com.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, it's not like I don't work for chess.com anymore. Well, I just got the lousy t-shirt. As they say, well, I built this company and I worked for them for 17 years.
I know.
Oh, now I got is the lousy t-shirt.
Yeah.
Well, they pay me more royalties. I don't have a stock with them. Nothing. This is how the world works.
Alex, so you see, and Mikhail,
yes.
So there are several forces at war. It's impossible for FIDE to organize match if they don't know if Carlson will play the match. Because, in my opinion, the commercial worth of match Nepomniachtchi against Dean Lejeune is maybe $250,000 at the best, and I'm overly optimistic about that. Now, the match of Nepa against Carlson is 10 times as much. So, in my opinion, FIDE must make an offer to Carlson. Here is $500,000. We need your commitment to play, and then organize a match. And that's the end of the story, because FIDE is taking 20% right off the top. So, FIDE is the most interesting party to hold the match, nobody else. So, Mikhail, what's in with all these forces in play? And now Carlson proposes new system, which is complete nonsense if you take all history of the world championship matches. This is, I understand his motivation, though, but it doesn't make a difference. You're talking about now the complete show instead of real match for the world championship.
In principle, I believe that from all the guys who have been world champions, let's say after 1990, after the classical era, after Karpov and Kasparov, gradually disappeared. I think that Carlson, for the chess world, in a way, he's the most active and probably the best of them. We had Kramnik, who, of course, is an educated person, handsome guy. We had Topalov. We had Anand, who is really charming.
No, they did nothing. They sat on their asses. They did nothing for chess. All these people after Kasparov, they were out there for themselves.
Yeah. Okay, but they didn't do create. Even Kasparov, okay, he created something. It was for him, but eventually other people eventually got. The first cycle he managed to organize well with interzonal and so on. So Carlson, okay, he does something. For instance, I believe that he's rapid chess circuit during the pandemic, it practically saved tournament chess somehow. It ensured the continuation. Of course, I believe the effects we see a bit late now during the candidates because players are so used to play rapid that they keep the same level of depth in their thinking during such a tournament like the candidates. So I agree with Kramnik that the level was lower than expected. But in principle, okay, Carlson is doing things, and of course, for the image, he's not bad. I mean, he looks like a man. He's sporty. He says some interesting things. Okay, this thing about Firuja, I suspect it was more because he needed some advertising somehow. I mean, okay, just say something interesting to shock the people, and maybe it was also something to shock Firuja himself. And actually, Firuja played much under the expectation in this tournament. I don't know. Maybe that was only a side effect. Oh, okay. I can understand if Carlson is simply tired after how many years has he dominated. Maybe he's just tired because okay, he's the strongest player in the world for 12 years or how much, and every 2 years he has to play this stupid match, and he can somehow lose everything, even though he has proven tournament by tournament that he's the strongest. He risks losing a stupid match and then lose everything. This I can understand if he's tired of this and simply doesn't want to play. But this thing, what he said that he would play only against Firuja, I don't know exactly what it can mean. It's just something which he said without thinking, or he said after
Yeah,
thinking.
I agree with that, Mihail. I think Magnus, although I don't know him personally, he strikes me as the kind of guy who can just say things. It's not like he weighs every word, like and so
Mhm.
careful with his statements. He sometimes says things. And then, of course, the media, they grab this one thing and they run with it. You know.
So maybe the people behind him encourage him to say such spontaneous things, which don't
Well,
make sense
maybe it's
because
not
media is
something.
delighted. Media is delighted.
I think
So I
I
don't
think
know really.
Carlson controls pretty everything what he says, what is written
You think
about
it's
him, especially
controls him?
in his own magazine. But Michael, there is another. Correct me if I'm wrong. Uh, Money is not really that motivational factor for Carlson. Not that he doesn't need another $1 million, but he already has so many of those that okay, it's nice to have another $1 million, but it's not the most important at this stage of the game. The most important thing, the real motivational factor. Okay, he was, in my opinion, he was a little bit lucky to destroy Nepomniachtchi in the first match. There was one crucial game, number 6, and after that, Nepomniachtchi just gave up and so on. Now, for Carlsen, most likely he will win the second match against Nepa. But I can bet that he will not exceed the margin that he achieved in the first match. It will
No,
be a
that's
lesser margin. So the perception will be that, well, look what's happening. Nepa is playing now stronger than that time, and Carlson is no longer playing as well as in the first match, and so on. So there is much more to lose for Carlsen from public perspective than to gain. What do you think he will win second match with +5 or plus scores, or he will win every single game? Highly unlikely. What can I say?
no, but I
It's
mean,
such
if he
Yeah.
wins plus one or in Armageddon, I don't think it makes such a big difference. I mean,
it's same thing. Yeah, I agree. It doesn't matter. Win
it
is a
can be
win.
even more interesting because okay, the last time he won the match like this, and everybody said okay, but Nepo just went crazy. He's like a baby. He loses a game and then he cannot play anymore. So I don't think that was. I mean, okay, it was nice for rating, nice for money, but I'm not sure that it was so positive for the public. But if it will be a fighting match,
Well, let's talk about how can this match even take place. You guys didn't answer my question. Who's going to put up the money? It's certainly not going to be Rex Sinfield. Not to mention that it's very unlikely that Nepomniachtchi can get a visa to the United States. The professional hockey players, some of the best players in many teams, they cannot return now to their workplace in the United States. Those who went to Russia for the summer, they won't come back. None of them will get a visa.
And
This kid Kaprizov, who plays for the Minnesota team, their best player, set the record for the highest scoring season. He even tried the back door through some Caribbean islands, and he was stopped again. He already made 2 attempts to enter the United States. Third time around, despite the fact that he's has a multi-million-dollar contract and beloved player of the many fans, he's simply going to end up in Guantanamo Bay. If I were advised to him, I would tell him, forget about that, accept the loss. You're not coming back to the United States.
yeah,
Who
and,
says that? Well, Grisham couldn't get visa to the US. The only guy who got visa to the US, even last year, was Svidor. Svidor is a different story. And now we have the special operation. I would like to see one Russian guy who can come to the United States now. I don't know of any.
actually, Alex, is not the worst case scenario because there is one Russian hockey player. He's a goalie, and he's been drafted in the Russian army instead of going to
Right.
NHL.
Right.
Okay, so he
But
will be.
this guy didn't.
And I
Philadelphia
don't see
Flyers.
any reason why Nepomniachtchi cannot be drafted in the Russian army. He's still young.
Well, conceivably, it's also possible. There are forces over there that may think we don't want our guy, like I don't know, to go there and flaunt, his whatever in front of the enemy audience. Let's draft him in the army. They can do this just in spite. On Nepomniachtchi's position is very precarious, same as Dvorkovich, by the way. So anyway, that's why I honestly, if you ask me, I don't think that this match can take place, regardless of what Carlson says. I think it's one thing to have him playing in a tournament or many others, and nobody even thought that he would win it. Now I don't think it's going to be a match.
Last question for today. Speaking about this upcoming World Championship match, which we don't know where it's going to be held, we don't know what is the prize fund, we don't know the venue, and we don't know who are the players. But there will be a match, one way or another. Let's assume
You
that.
think so?
Uh,
This is going to be a match.
well,
Well,
somebody's
if Nakamura, okay, 1 second. Let's imagine that Nakamura keeps his nerve and doesn't lose to Dean in the last round.
okay.
I really believe there would be a very nice match between Carlson and Nakamura.
Yes.
That would be the top two
Agree.
richest chess players in the world.
Mhm.
The champion versus the streamer. You can build it up to $10 million prize
Totally
fund.
agree
It would
with
be
you.
great.
And I
No?
don't understand Nakamura's behavior in the last game. Why he avoided the draw? What's happened to him?
Because he didn't
Well,
see it.
maybe he freaked
He
out.
didn't find it.
No, he just couldn't make a draw. He couldn't handle this pressure. Made a couple of mistakes.
Unbelievable.
Nakamura may have lost more money than he has in that one bad game. I
Unbelievable.
think that match would be supported by a lot of people, and it would be great.
I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw what's happened there. I just
No.
couldn't believe it.
Now
But
we're
you
going
know
to
that
have
Ding also beat Nepo in the last round of
I
the
remember
last candidate.
2
So
years ago. Yeah.
no, that was a clear
Yeah.
win actually. So he's probably a guy who can pull himself. I mean, he played 2 awful games against
Napa.
Nepo and against Rajabov, I believe.
Yeah.
Jabov, yeah. Lost with
Uh,
white. Yeah, collapse.
yeah,
You know
he
what? It's interesting. If we speculate about the possibility, however remote it is, a big split over there, and Nepo plays Dean Lezheng in a match, 12 games in Moscow, 12 games in Beijing, or whatever. I don't care what they do. Well, actually, in my opinion, Dean is going to be the favorite. I would say that Dean, in my opinion, slight favorite, but a favorite.
Hmm.
it depends because Ding is not so stable. Okay, it came as a surprise for him that he would play the candidate. So maybe this is why he had played a lot before. This may be why he started not so sure of himself. I don't know.
Well, yeah, he
But
has problems, obviously. Yeah.
but also the previous candidates in the first half he was doing badly, and then he won the second half. So I mean, I think that he could be a real problem for Carlson if he would be just stable. But I don't know if he
No, we
can
don't
find it.
know.
I mean,
Okay,
maybe
suppose, yeah, Carlos and Dean, but Dean, I don't know. Well, Sasha, what's the situation in China? Can these guys travel because of COVID? Are there any restrictions on travel of Chinese nationals?
Very, very uncertain situation. It keeps changing from month to month, so it's very difficult to build like long-term plans, saying what's happened in 6 months from now. And you know what? We forgot about another possibility, that there will be simply no match. Period.
Yeah,
No much. There is one more consideration before we will finish. I'm not so sure what is a FIDE represents today. Who has the power in FIDE? What are their sources of financing? Who is the FIDE's president? Will be a new election in Chennai, right, Mikhail? You will be there, so maybe you will.
uh, uh, there should be. Yeah, I mean, I will be there, so I will know. But I
Okay,
suppose yes. As far as I know, there should be yes.
okay. So
well,
there are.
Dvorkovich, there is one little thing, right? So Dvorkovich was officially sanctioned by the Ukrainian government. If the European Union goes along with that, well, then we may have a FIDE president who can simply not go anywhere because they'll do to him what they did to Bobby Fischer in Tokyo airport. Do you want a president like this? The president that unable to travel in most countries because he's under sanctions list. And
Well,
next thing, they may even criminally indict him, so that could happen very easily. He's in a bad spot.
yeah, Alex, similar situation was in 2014 in Tromsø when Ilumzhinov was elected president, and he was under sanctions as well at the time. It was
Right, right.
after Crimea, but the sanctions probably were not as great as today. Maybe,
Yeah, well, there was no political. It was like maybe
yeah.
corruption or generally being the Eastern despot. It's
Mhm.
one thing, but when you sort of like have connections with the government that apparently, is just like doing whatever they're allegedly doing, it's another thing. Well, Dvorkovich cannot bleach off his past. He was really heavily, involved in
Oh,
all this, even though.
he was a deputy prime minister when Medvedev
Yeah,
was.
deputy prime minister. The guy was
Uh,
the head of the organizing committee for the World Cup soccer for crying out loud. It
you
cannot be
said
some random
organized.
guy.
I thought you will say organized crime organization, but
But now I can't
poker.
understand. I mean, okay, about Ilyumchinov, we more or less knew what he does wrong. But I mean, I understand that the only thing which is wrong with Dvorkovich is that he is Russian and that he had a high position before the war, long
Well,
before.
that's bad enough, isn't it? Well, I suggest that you guys visit the website of the FIDE presidential candidate Andrei Barishkovets, an Ukrainian/American grandmaster who now lives in California, and he has a team, and he's on the ticket. He has Peter Heine Nielsen of all people,
Oh, I
and
see.
he's trying Parish poets, and he's seriously. It's a campaign. Well, they have a list of people from different countries. That's his team, and you may even read about his agenda, why he wants to become FIDE president, and all that. But I mean, it's all for real.
He's associated somehow with Rex Zinfeld. Are you aware of it? Or?
That I'm not sure about. But I
Mhm.
mean, the fact is, no, being Ukrainian now, it's very helpful, obviously. And, well, there's a heavy political angle over there. He famously said that, no, all Russian players will be banned for life, regardless of country of residence.
Mhm. Okay,
Oh, so,
listen, we
I mean, there
we
are some interesting things over there. So we don't really know who's going to win.
mm.
So, well, we don't know anything yet.
Alex, thank you very much for very useful information. Thank you, Mikhail, for participating in today's show. Um,
Okay.
we raised more questions than we answered those. So maybe we will have an opportunity next Saturday to get more information and to provide our outlook to our listeners and our audience. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
participation.
well, yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye,
Bye
all.
bye.